After being quarantined in your home for a couple weeks, there's nothing that'll brighten your spirits more than another homemade meal created right in your own kitchen from the exact same shit you've been eating for weeks on end. I'll show you how. Hello, I'm JP Sears. I'm the best culinary artist you're ever gonna find. Welcome to my cooking show. I'm also a narcissist, according to a clinical diagnosis made by a female doctor. But because it wasn't a real doctor, it's probably not a real diagnosis. On today's show, I'll be teaching you how to make a delightful apocalyptic-inspired dish called quarantine casserole. It's a cultural favorite amongst refugee camps and prisons. And because that's basically where you're at, you'll love it too. Also on today's menu is a delightful, enticing hors d'oeuvre of garden-fresh tomato flatbread. It's a culinary collage of mouth-watering dry goods and canned meat that you've got left in your cupboard since you've been trying not to starve to death. Let's begin by washing our hands. Not because I'm contaminated, but because other people are gross, and I don't want what they have. Plus the degree of social shame I would incur from being seen cooking without washing my hands first is something I'm not willing to tolerate. Instead, I'm washing my hands first so you think I'm a good person. And now that you think I'm a good person, in the words of Walter White, let's cook. For our quarantine casserole, let's begin by prepping 1 cup of quinoa to a ratio of 1.5 cups of water. Then we'll put that on a medium heat for approximately the amount of time it takes you to remember it's still cooking. Now, when the quarantine began, if you're like most Americans, instead of rushing out to buy non-perishable foods that can provide you with nutritional value, you probably rushed out to buy foods that deliver zero nutritional value yet high levels of emotional comfort. This means you're not good at surviving because you're dumb. It also means you've got chips in your cupboard. So combine 2 to 3 handfuls of your nutritionally void chips into your casserole, you survivalist. Add 1 tin of sardines. Add some curry spice to give it the flavor of body odor. Now add your favorite leafy green vegetables from your fridge that have gone bad because you didn't eat them while you could, because you don't think you're responsible for your own health, because you have the mentality of a child. Next, add 1 can of literally anything. In this case, I had 1 can of shitty soup left in my cupboard, so that's what I used. Turn your crock pot on low, as this will need to cook to let the flavors combine for between 2 minutes and 5 hours. It's depending on your level of patience. Before we add the quinoa to our casserole and make our garden fresh tomato flatbreads, it's time for a new part of the show that I like to call the quarantine secret segment. Every kitchen has secret cupboards that nobody looks in. I recommend using these cupboards to hide your stash of your favorite snacks, candy, and immune support supplements you don't want your family to have any of, so you can have them all. But if you're like me and can't be bothered getting the damn step stool out of the garage every time you want to eat something that tastes good, then you can use a diversion technique. How does that work? For example, my wife's a vegan, so in the convenient cupboards, I've got a box labeled animal parts. In it is my stash, yet she's repelled by it. Other effective diversion labels that'll keep your spouse out are self-responsibility, financial contribution, being a good parent, and interesting personality. With this tip, you'll be able to keep your filthy partner out of your secret quarantine stash of goodies so you can have them all to yourself. Let's get started on the appetizer of garden fresh tomato flatbread. Just empty the rest of the cracker crumbs you've got left onto a serving tray. Then douse them with the garden fresh 5-year shelf life ketchup that I know your survival instincts compelled you to stock up on. And now you've got a mouth-watering garden fresh tomato flatbread to tantalize your palate with. Ready? Ready. And now that our quinoa is done to perfection, I'm gonna take it off the stove and combine it with the trash where it deserves to be. The quinoa industrial complex has not infiltrated my psyche. I would rather starve to death than ever have to eat quinoa ever again. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So instead of adding quinoa to our quarantine casserole, I'm gonna use 1 cup of dry dog food instead because it literally tastes better. And now our casserole is finished and ready to serve. We've invited our friend Ryan to stay with us during the quarantine because he was here visiting before it began and then got stuck here, so we had no choice. And Ryan's gonna sample our quarantine cuisine that we've been creating.
Jesus, what is this?
Thank you, Ryan. It was a pleasure making it for you. And I hope you enjoyed this quarantine casserole and garden fresh tomato flatbread recipe as much as I did. Happy quarantine. And unless we all lose our minds first, I'll see you on the next episode of Cooking with a Narcissist. I want to thank Metabolic Meals for sponsoring this video. I love Metabolic Meals. I've been using them for years, and now more than ever, I appreciate Metabolic Meals, how they deliver the food right to my doorstep. It's prepared, it's ready to eat, it's all natural, it's gluten-free, and it's nutritious and delicious. The way I like to use Metabolic Meals is I go online and build my own by selecting a bunch of double serving packs of protein, like wild caught salmon burgers. Then I select a number of double serving sides, like buffalo roasted cauliflower, and I'm well stocked for the week. And in this time, I also like to stock up and have some extra to put in the freezer, just in case. To have Metabolic Meals deliver nutritious, delicious, prepared food right to your doorstep every week, just go to mymetabolicmeals.com/JP and enjoy. I love these guys.